Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide, and we had some beautiful weather over the weekend, and I decided I hadn't been thrifting for a while, so I wanted to check out this new antique shop, so here we go. The first thing I saw when I walked in here was a bunch of neat Disney and Marvel metal pins you could put on a backpack or something, and some knives and some Pokemon stuff, and then there was a bunch of like little metal trinkets and belt buckles and what have you up here, but nothing that immediately grabbed my eye. I passed on the Pokemon stuff. So moving on, I found this booth that had some old books and some Halloween decorations and some sports stuff. Nothing that I'm looking for. I'm not a Redskins fan. Moving on, I found this booth that had a bunch of old 90s CDs, and I listened to all of these back in the day. The Garbage one specifically, and Matchbox 20 and some others. There was a stack of books, and then sitting on top of the shelf is the OG Superman. This is George Reeves, not Christopher Reeves, so he came way before Christopher Reeve's adaptation. So that's something that you don't see often. And then I found this really cool Harley Davidson lamp. My dad has a Harley. Maybe this is something he would like, although in my opinion it's a little bit tacky. They had this really old typewriter in perfect condition. The paint job looked immaculate, and they were only asking $30. It's not something I collect, but that would be a hell of a find if you do collect that sort of thing. I found this really ridiculously heavy Easter globe and some NASCAR stuff, and I found these bags of toys, and I usually go through these, but I could tell right off the bat it was nothing I was looking for. And I found this sword, and it grabbed my eye initially, but I quickly realized after unsheathing it that it's one of those really cheap Chinese swords that you can get at a gas station for like $15. And then I found these two Rogue original Xbox games, but I passed on both of those even though they were cheap. It's just not something I'm interested in. And then I found this. This appears to be a really, really nice replica of the Declaration of Independence, and it was really, really tempting. It's not something you run across, and it was only $18. But I ended up passing because the frame on that was in really horrible condition, and I don't want to spend the money to reframe it. I found a bunch of metal signs here. Moving on, we have plastic deer for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. And then some more signage over here. Moving on, there is yet more signage. And then I found this giant pile of comic books, and I saw the Superman and Wonder Woman on the right there, and that really caught my eye. So I sifted through these. I did find one that was worth picking up. I found this big Santa Claus figure that would be awesome if you had the space to display it. Jeff Gordon sweater over here, and then moving on to this booth, there was some political pins that were interesting to me. And Walt Disney's Seven Dwarves book, and some old in-the-box board games. I can't tell when these are from, but they look older. In the next booth, I found a bunch of Hot Wheels, and I realized, going through this new antique shop, that the same vendors kind of set up at multiple antique shops, because you end up seeing a lot of the same kind of styled booths with the same merchandise in multiple antique shops. But moving forward here, this caught my eye because this booth had a bunch of Star Wars stuff. These were mostly a lot of pop figures that were outside of the box, and then they had this really weird fused bead kit, which I almost bought, but I ended up passing. Just a bunch of Star Wars stuff, a bunch of books, and this is typically stuff that I would be into, but a lot of it is loose. They did have this Star Trek Enterprise card game, and then some loose toys at the bottom shelf as well. And I found these Disney figures that looked to be like old McDonald's toys from like the 80s. And then this Meatloaf tape, Bat Out of Hell, which I had as a kid. I used to skateboard back in the day, and I used to listen to that like crazy. This candle sign is actually super collectible. If you own like a small business, that would be cool to put it up. This next booth really caught my eye. They had a lot of in-the-box pop figures, specifically He-Man stuff. They had a ton of He-Man stuff. This one here glows in the dark, and they were asking $25 on that, but I ended up passing on that. This initially looked like a Transformer to me, but I don't believe that it is. It's like a knockoff Transformer, so I passed on that. There's some toys, military plastic helmet here, and then there's some modern He-Man figures. Not something I'm looking to collect. Below that, we have some an old crate, and then this laser tag hat, just the hat for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's cool that it's in a box, but not something I'm nostalgic about. I don't know what the hell that is. It looks like a loudspeaker or something. And then on the next shelf, we have this Panther figure, which I would have picked up if it was cheaper, but the guy was asking 30 bucks, and I've seen this at Ollie's for 20, so it's just not a good deal at that price. A lot of these figures are modern. These He-Man figures are all relatively new, nothing from the actual 80s. And then I found this Triclops figure, but behind it, this was really, really cool. It's a He-Man on Battle Cat pop in the box. He was only asking 25 bucks. I'm running out of shelf space, to be honest, but I was super tempted to pick that up. Behind it, there was like a modern versions of Skeletor. I'm not a fan of the huge designs. And then there was this creepy baby doll head for some reason. Not the whole body, just the severed head, which was ridiculously odd and disturbing on multiple levels. And then on this shelf, I found 3 random PS3 games. Most of them were Assassin's Creed, just not something I have any interest in. And then on this shelf, I found a Star Wars Pez set, specifically for The Mandalorian. And traditionally, this would be something I'd be interested in, but these kind of sets are made to be collectible, which means they're not worth anything. It still looks cool, and I love The Mandalorian. But next, I found this. This is a limited edition, special, like commemorative display to showcase the USS Enterprise for Star Trek, and this came out in the 90s. It was limited to production for 1 year in 1994. I found this second one here, and initially I thought this one looked cooler, but when I opened them up, the second one up here was much cheaper quality, so this is definitely something I was interested in. The next booth had some really cool things. This Forbidden Planet robot was really, really cool. Next to that, there were some old magazines. Marilyn Monroe, you gotta love that. And then over here we've got some, looks like posters for old classic movies. This werewolf one was really cool. A lot of these are just neat to me. And then up here, this guy's got a bunch of autographed stuff from various celebrities or musicians, and that's kind of his specialty. He has multiple booths set up. And then there was a box of comic books, and the Ghostly Tales caught my attention. Lastly, on the way out, I saw all these Barbie figures, and I don't collect that at all, but with the popularity of the movies, it is tempting to kind of get on eBay and see if any of these are worth money. None of them really were, so it's not worth buying to flip, in my opinion. The problem with Barbie is they made special editions for every single event and year. There's just so many of them that they're just not worth a lot of money. So I didn't pick up any of these. And this was a slow thrift day. I only checked out this one antique store because it's near me and I didn't know that it existed until recently. So this is what I ended up picking up ultimately. My cat is insisting that he be part of this. I picked up this small luggage suitcase for $7. And if it looks really wet, it's because I washed the hell out of it as soon as I got home to make sure it was clean. I already have a big luggage case, but I needed a smaller one because I'm taking a vacation for a few days and I need something smaller. The next thing I picked up was Diablo for the Nintendo Switch. I picked that up for only $15. The next thing I picked up was a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I only paid $1 for this, so for $1, yeah, I'm definitely going to add it to the collection. The next thing I picked up was Batman number 354. This is the first time that Dick Grayson takes over the mantle of Batman. The next thing I picked up was the Star Trek limited edition marble figure here, and this thing is absolutely beautiful. He was asking 40, but I talked him down to 32. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like outside of the box, this thing is absolutely beautiful. The base is made out of marble. I think the ship is made out of pewter. It was a limited edition, and it was only produced for that year in 1994, and it does come with the certificate of authenticity, so this will be a great addition to my nerd room. That's going to do it for me today, guys. This is a shorter thrift video. Let me know if you pick up any interesting finds in the comments below.